As you probably know by now, real estate is a numbers game. The more offers you make, the more deals you do. The problem is analyzing apartment building deals can be time consuming. And that can limit your ability to make a lot of offers, which is what you need to do. Now, what if you could analyze a deal and make an offer in 10 minutes? Well, it sounds hard to believe, and I couldn't do it early on, but you actually can. So let's get into the step-by-step process of how to do this. Hey, I'm Michael Blanc. I'm a full-time entrepreneur, investor, and coach, and I'm passionate about helping others become financially free with real estate in the next 1 to 3 years. Through my investment company, Nighthawk Equity, we control over $300 million of real estate, and we've helped students acquire nearly 14,000 units at the time of this recording. Now hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any more of this free training about achieving financial freedom. So let's continue the journey together. When I first got started in apartments in 2007, I was completely overwhelmed. I would get a marketing package from a broker and enter the financials into a spreadsheet I had created and crunch the numbers, and then I would make some phone calls and do some research online. It took me 4 hours to analyze a deal and make an offer. 4 hours. Now, as you can imagine, I wasn't able to make a lot of offers. In fact, I nearly gave up because I was so overwhelmed and just couldn't get it done fast enough. But back then, I didn't have the tools or techniques I have now. Subsequently, I discovered a better way, and I call it a 10-minute offer. It allows you to make an offer on a deal you get from a broker within 10 minutes of getting the marketing package. That is super powerful. And it's going to accelerate your progress that you're going to make towards your first deal. Okay, now just a word of warning, the 10-minute offer involves a little bit of simple math, okay? So if you find your eyes glazing over and you know who you are, just keep watching. Let it wash over you. So even if you don't understand everything right now, just keep watching. You can always rewind and watch it again. But first, a quick story. It's about Nick in New York, and he discovered the power of learning the skill of analyzing deals. He had just signed up for my coaching program, and a few days later went to his local RIA meeting. And then he met with a potential investor, and he asked him about his track record, but Nick didn't have a good answer because he didn't have a track record. So our next coaching call, he was pretty discouraged, and I told him to be patient and finish the online training, then analyze 5 deals to improve his skills and confidence. After the next meeting, he got into a coaching call with excitement. He told me that he'd met with 2 other potential investors during a networking break, and they never asked him about his track record. Within a couple of weeks, his language and confidence improved to the point that he wasn't being asked about his track record at all. And that's the power of learning the skill of analyzing deals, which you can learn. And in turn, improves your language that you're using and increases your confidence. Because once you have the confidence, people will no longer question you about your track record and ask you for proof of funds. All right, let's dive right into the 10-minute offer. Step number 1 is to adjust the income. It takes about 4 minutes. Now, if the marketing package contains actual financials, then look for the gross scheduled income. This is the income that should be collected if everyone was paying the rent on time, okay? And all the rents were at market rent. Just use that number for the 10-minute offer. Then in the marketing package, look for adjustments. They call adjustments for vacancies, concessions, bad debt, all those things. So these are deductions from that. And if these adjustments in totality are greater than 10%, then use that number. Otherwise, use 10% of that first rental number that you wrote down. Now, if you only have what's called the pro forma financials of what should be in an ideal world, then use that. Otherwise, use the actuals. So your adjusted income is now your gross scheduled income, the first number, minus the 10% or whatever of the vacancies and things like that is now your adjusted income. So step 1 is complete. Step 2, adjust the expenses. No more than 3 minutes. This is going to be easy, my friends, okay? Because if your expenses that are in the financials you got, if they're greater than 55%, then use that number. Use those expenses. Otherwise, as is typically the case, use 55%. All right? Use at least 55%. So if the expenses are lower than 55%, use 55%. If they're higher, then use the higher number. Again, this is all of income. So 55% of income is your minimum expense number. Use that at minimum. And that is now called your adjusted expense. Now, usually when you get a marketing package, they over-report the income and under-report the expenses. Okay, so typically something is missing in the expenses. They're very rarely 55%. So for example, maybe the management fees are not included, or the current owner is managing the property on their own. So don't spend a lot of time analyzing why it's low, okay? Maybe you can see something obvious, like a management fee is missing, or insurance is missing, or real estate taxes are missing. Because what you're going to do now is you're going to use that as an argument that the expenses are unrealistically low. All right, to conclude step number 2, you can now calculate the adjusted net operating income. Okay, and it's very simple. It's the adjusted income from step 1 minus the adjusted expenses in 2, and now you have the adjusted net operating income. So net operating income is NOI for short. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful right now, hit that subscribe button, please. All right, step number 3, you're going to use the advertised cap rate to come up with a revised fair market value. It takes about 3 minutes. So for this step, you're going to need a cap rate, or capitalization rate for short. It's fairly simple to get it from your broker. It's basically a way to value commercial real estate based on a multiple of its income. It's called cap rate. Now, usually the marketing package advertises a certain cap rate for the property. This is a 6 cap, a 5 cap. If it's not in the marketing package, then ask your broker, hey, what is the cap rate for buildings like this in this kind of area? And they'll tell you, they'll give you the range. Now, once we have the cap rate from your broker or the marketing package, we can combine it with a net operating income, and now we can actually calculate our adjusted fair market value. The formula is like this: price or value equals the net operating income divided by cap rate. So NOI divided by cap rate is the price. And what we want to do is we want to kind of come up with an adjusted value. They're asking whatever, and we're going to come up with what we think the value is. So here's an example. Let's assume the asking price is $653,000. All right, so write this down a little bit here. $653 is the asking. All right, the reported income is $95,000, and the expenses are $42,750. Okay, you got all that? Now you're going to apply that. There's just 3 numbers. They're not going to kill you. Okay, here we go. Now once you apply the 10-minute offer technique, you get an adjusted value of $506,000. Okay, per the methodology I just described it. And so typically the adjusted value would be lower than the asking price, right? So they're asking, what did I say, $653, and you come up with a price of $506. That's not unusual. It's typical, right? So, and that's because the expenses were much lower than the rule of thumb of 55%. All right, so let's recap real quick the last 3 steps. We adjusted the income, we adjusted the expenses. Income minus expenses is a new NOI, and then we apply the cap rate to it, and now we came up with what our assessment is about fair market price of that building. So that's it. That's it, the 10-minute offer. Now make note of the adjusted price, and let's get back to the broker in step 4. Now step 4 is to get back to the broker with your analysis and make an informal offer. So compose an email to the broker in which you explain your adjustments to the income and expenses, and they apply the cap rate that you got from him, that the adjusted price is X, and you'd be happy to make an offer at the price if the seller would be amenable to that. So send your broker something like this in an email. Hey Rob, I looked over the package you sent me. Everything looks great. It's what we talked about on the phone. I made a few adjustments to the underwriting though. Since I don't have the actual financials, I had to rely on the pro forma numbers that you included. We both know those are going to be lower than actuals, wink wink, right? Well, that's all we have to work with at the moment. In your pro forma, you had vacancies at 5% of the gross potential rent, which from my experience is typically closer to 10% when you include bad debt and things of that nature. Now regarding expenses, I don't have the actuals, but the pro forma totals only add up to about 45% of income. For example, it appears the insurance expenses are missing and not much is allotted for repairs in the P&L. Based on my experience in actual financials from similar listings in the area, I know those are significantly low. I normally use 55% of income for the expenses as a rule of thumb, and that's what I'm going using here. Now you told me an advertised cap rate of 8%. I'm not sure if that's fair for this area, but let's assume it is. If you apply a 6% cap rate to the adjusted net operating income, the valuation of the building is right around $500,000. Quite a bit away from the $650,000 asking price. Now if you see something awry with my underwriting, let me know. I can make an offer at asking price, but I don't want to waste your time if we both know the actual NOI will be lower than what you have in the pro forma once we get into due diligence. I'd rather be a bit more realistic up front. So I'm not sure how flexible your seller is on the asking price, but I'd be pleased to put in an offer at $500,000 if you would consider it. Let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing from you. That's it. That's how to analyze and make an offer in 10 minutes. So don't waste your life away analyzing deals. Don't do what I did, right? Work smarter, not harder. If you do, you're able to look at a lot more deals and increase your chances of finding a deal that will actually work. Now, learning to analyze deals is the most important skill to master early on because you won't sound like a newbie. It's going to increase your confidence and you'll be able to make more offers. So now you're on the way to being a professional. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and keep watching to learn the final secret to ensuring you have a never-ending supply of high-quality deals. Let me know your thoughts and questions and comments below, and I'm going to see you in the next video.